Hello everyone, this is Ryoko368 and welcome to the FanFic Critic vlog. So we're still in vlog number 5, but now we're in part 2 because we are reviewing a fanfic that is 3 chapters long, but the word count is on the longest side. So we have to divide it up into 3 parts, 1 part per chapter. So if you haven't watched the first part of this fanfic review, watch the first part of it. Please and thank you. But if you don't want to do that, then okay, just jump in the middle. Alright, so we're going to be taking a look at Chapter 2 of the fanfic called Nostalgia Critic Meets the FanFic Critic. I'm not going to read the disclaimer again because there's no point. So let's get started on Chapter 2. Are you sure this is the place? Nostalgia Critic asked as both he and the FanFic Critic stood at the mouth of a dark cave. This is where Susan says all the fan work is heading. Let's go. The two of them wasted no time and walked into the cave, blanketed by total darkness. They couldn't even see their own noses, let alone anything that potentially lay ahead of them in the shadows. The only sounds emanating were the sounds of their footsteps echoing into the distance, that is, until the fanfic critic began humming. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Stop that! You're going to get that song stuck in my head. Sorry, I couldn't resist. She giggled quietly as the two marched on. Without warning, both of them were swept off their feet and crashed to the ground, still covered in darkness and so unable to see what was going on. They tumbled and rolled along the ground before crashing against what felt like the wall on the side of the cave. What the flying fuck? The Nostalgia Critic began to rant until he stretched his arm out and realized that the ground beneath them was tilted at an angle, which must have caused them to trip. Why the hell is the floor slanted? How could anyone work like this? Well, you are in a cave. Despite their lack of vision, they tried to pick themselves up and stand on their own 2 feet, a difficult task considering the unstable ground they were walking on. Fanfic Critic placed her hands on the wall of the cave, hoping that it would help her keep her balance. Upon contact, the wall glowed with letters drifting against it, and further down the cave, like a moving painting. I think that's supposed to say painting. At last, able to see again, the two critics watched as the letters glided across the rocky surface at a slow pace. Fanfic Critic decided to inspect more closer and look at some of the words, reading them carefully and seeing that they made a somewhat constructive sentence. These are stories. All the fanfiction stories are being sucked down this cave. We're definitely in the right place. Oh my god, listen to this one. Nostalgia Critic called out in a fit of laughter as he began to read the paragraph that flowed past him. My name is Violet Sparkle Columbus Starshine Mississippi Winchester. I am Dean and Sam unheard of third cousin once removed and the most powerful person in the entire world and the girlfriend of both Cass and Crowley. I wonder if this is an actual fanfic or if they just made this up. He laughed so uncontrollably he almost fell to the floor again. Someone actually wrote this. Clearly we have the next Joss Whedon here. Fanfic Critic groaned and mumbled sarcastically. Yes, haha, let's make fun of the Mary Sue story. Come on, we have a job to do. Listen to this one, he shouted, cutting her off. His large, solid, masculine ding-dong rubbed up against my juicy pastry hot dog, feeling up his wiener and making my inner body metallic tasting liquid pumping organ beat faster. Is this supposed to be sexy or 50 Shades of Grey, the kitchen edition? I get it, but can we just... The frustration in Fanfic Critic's voice was building to breaking point, but that didn't stop her traveling companion from his continued mocking. Holy hell! This one's so badly written, I can't even tell if this is on purpose or if the writer's cat walked all over the keyboard. Oh, my ribs hurt. She was about to scold the laughing reviewer when all of a sudden a booming voice started to emit from the end of the cave. The glowing writing soon darted down towards the ground before moving along and coming into contact with a metallic material that was planted into the wall of the cave. Iron cogs and pieces twisted and pumped, and steam rose from the tops of the working machine. Neither critic knew what to make of the contraption that laid before them, a bizarre mix of Victorian steampunk and future technology. The machine had dozens of levers and switches all around as the glowing words sucked into the cracks and bolts before disappearing completely from sight. I'm going to make a wild assumption and say that we found what we've been looking for, Fanfic Critic muttered. Well, let's take care of this. Nostalgia Critic took out his gun and aimed for the machine. Wait, hold on. FanFic Critic's warning came too late as Nostalgia Critic opened fire, and the bullet then bounced off the machine and headed right back for the critic's forehead. He managed to avoid the projectile by ducking out of the way, but then it ricocheted off the wall behind him and towards the FanFic Critic. She dodged the bullet, but it just kept bouncing all over the place as the two did their best to avoid. Eventually, the bullet finally lost momentum and fell to the ground, and the two finally regained their breath. Right. I'm not doing that again, Nostalgia Critic stated as he placed his gun back in his pocket. Can you just stop and think for a few seconds? She growled angrily at him. Hey, at least I'm doing something that almost got our heads blown off. Before their argument could go any further, a door behind the machine slid open, it should say slid open, but it says slide open, and a shadowy figure stepped through. Clearly the mastermind of this whole operation, the figure took another step closer, bringing him into the light that illuminated both from the glowing words and the operating machine next to him. What pathetic man-animal dares to interrupt my free time I could spend betting the rest of cyclo-hookers in the galaxy? A high-pitched voice hollered from the figure. Terrell? Or Terrell? Both Nostalgia Critic and FanFic Critic gasped in disbelief. Recognizing at least one of the voices, Terrell the Cyclo stared out and caught sight of the Nostalgia Critic's bewildered face and laughed maniacally. Ah, Nostalgia Critic, we meet once again. I know I'm mangling the voice, shut up. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. You're behind all this? Indeed, Critic, and... He noticed FanFic Critic standing beside his arch-nemesis and hesitated with his speech. And you! Yes, you with the same name, the name that is on the tip of my two tongues. I haven't forgotten you because I am trying to remember your name. The name that you have, which is... We've never met, FanFic Critic stated. Terrell immediately sighed with relief. Oh, good. You know how embarrassing it is when I try to threaten someone and I can't remember their name. It makes one looks bad. Nostalgia Critic, not amused seeing the alien once again, waved his arms about in frustration. That explains the slanted ground, Terrell. What the hell? What? That is all I can say. What the hell? Well, you see, Critic, after our last encounter, which ended rather messily for me to be blunt, I decided to start again, but on a smaller scale. Build myself back up to the reputation ladder of the most feared warriors throughout the galaxy. Groot is more feared warrior throughout the galaxy than you. Terrell ignored the Nostalgia Critic's snide comments and continued. So I made a few business deals, met up with some of my old school buddies, and they made a few business deals, all of which led to me acquiring possession of this beautiful machine you see before you. I named her Doris, and she has the capability to absorb and destroy any kind of digital information I want. Security codes, nuclear launch codes, even passwords for your diaries that you keep hidden under your bed. Nothing is safe from Doris. Letting those words sink in, the two critics slowly turned to face each other, pure bewilderment written on their faces. FanFic Critic was the first to speak up. So let me get this straight. You have a machine that can hack, steal, and delete any kind of information that you command of it, and you use it to delete fan work? I know, Terrell admitted proudly. Diabolical, isn't it? How is that diabolical? The critics asked simultaneously. There are two reasons why I decided to destroy the works of fandom, as you call it. Reason one, destroying something so personal to the man-animals of this world is a stepping stone to destroying their very souls, things they have created, life that has been given in the hopes of adding to the stories that they've already enjoyed. I would crush them completely to see all that gone, with no hope of ever getting it back, he squealed with delight. And the second one? Terrell's positive attitude vanished instantly, replaced by complete disgust. Oh, it's just awful. Have you read some of this stuff? Nostalgia Critic nodded and scoffed. I know. I saw them back there. Oh, did you see the one with the Violet Sparkle Winchester? Terrell chuckled uncontrollably as the two of them shared a good laugh like they were old friends. It wasn't until Nostalgia Critic felt someone patting strongly on the back after his bellowing laughter that he finally stopped. FanFic Critic glared at him. We are here to save fanfictions, not mock them. And of course, this can't be a vlog or a web show without someone trying to call my house while I'm in the middle of recording, so I will be right back. It was a telemarketer. I could tell because I let the phone keep on ringing, And because I have to do that. My sister and I literally have to do that. Because most of the people who call our house are just telemarketers. So we don't pick up the phone. And they don't leave a message. Or they do sometimes leave a message and it's like a cut-off, pre-recorded message. And it's like, ugh. But it is good to have a landline in case of emergency. So it is what it is. So now that that stupid interruption is gone, we can finally go back to where the story was. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'll just reread the line that my character says. We're here to save the fan fictions, not mock them. I know. He replied with a weak voice, still recovering from his hooting. But you have to admit, the ones we passed were bad. That's not the point! Her fists balled together and were raised to her face, making it look like she was trying to stop herself from exploding. I am sick and tired of listening to you go on and on about how terrible fan fiction is. This time, Nostalgia Critic wasn't joking and took the next part of their argument seriously. You're sick and tired? How do you think I feel constantly having to put up with these weird and icky stories about me? This is my job. I've seen weird stuff written all the time. Well, clearly, for quite a while, considering you haven't posted videos in a while. What is that supposed to mean? She questioned heatedly. Turl rubbed his hands together with glee as he watched the two bickering grow more intensely with every word spoken. Yes, now, Nostalgia Critic, everything and everyone you know, and... However, the alien's threats fell on deaf ears, with Nostalgia Critic taking a step closer to FanFic Critic. Shock of all shocks, I actually did do a little bit of research on you while trying to find you, and I noticed that your channel's been a little inactive for the past few months. With over-exaggerated movements, she placed her hands on her cheek and faked a shocked expression. Gosh, it's almost like I have a life outside of yelling insults and references all the time, she said sarcastically. I don't yell all the time, he yelled loudly. At this point, even Turl was off-put by the extent of their verbal war. I'm still threatening you. The two were still only focused on each other, with FanFic Critic being the next to vocally strike back. Can't you just accept that there is some creativity that goes into making these stories? What is creative about stories that basically rehash a story already made? Gee, I don't know, but it can't be any less creative than you doing unfunny sketches based on a film you don't like. Are you saying I'm uncreative? That's rich coming from you. I'm guessing that you didn't base your show and look off the angry video game nerd. No, but right now I wish I did. You take that back. Huh, funny, usually when people accuse me of copying someone, they said I copied the Nostalgia Critic, which back then I didn't quite understand it, but when I rewatched my show, I can kind of see why. In fact, me wearing this hat's probably not a good idea, because then someone watching this will be like, oh, you're still copying him. It's like, no, I just like this hat, and I'm not being a web show character. Anyway, this is just a vlog, so you're wrong. Let's continue. The sheer volume of their roars was enough to almost propose the possibility of a cave-in happening, something that Turl couldn't afford. He reached into his metallic utility belt and wrapped it around his waist and pulled out a small cylinder-like device. Okay, I can see that you're both trying to keep this up for a little while, but I did go into the effort of rigging this place with knockout gas to capture anyone who would try to stop me, so I'm going to use it now. Finally, that was enough for the two critics to turn and gasp. What? Turl flickered the switch on the device, and a dozen of little potholes opened on the walls. In the blink of an eye, the cave was filled with a thick green smoke. Nostalgia Critic and FanFic Critic tried to cover their mouths, but it was pointless. And they were both already drowsy before either of them could think of a plan B. They collapsed in a heap on the ground as Turl chuckled maniacally. Yes, I've done it. Now no one can stop me. No one. He stopped in mid-laughter with a sharp intake of breath, and suddenly dawned on him that what he had done wrong. Oh, right. I was supposed to switch the knockout gas after I left the vicinity. Oops. He clumped to the ground instantly. Line break. His eyes were heavy and his head was throbbing, but soon enough Nostalgia Critic was able to peel his eyelids open despite almost being blinded by the sudden intake of light. He tried to get up, however, his body wouldn't cooperate or something was forcing him to stay rooted on the spot. So, you're finally awake, you pathetic man-animal. Hold on one sec, I need to check on my cat. Sorry about that, I'm back. Cat's okay, he just has a little bit of an upset stomach.
Because he was being naughty earlier and trying to eat something he wasn't supposed to eat.
They never learn either. They continuously do it, and it's like, this is why you guys get sick. The joys of having kitties. Let's continue. Nostalgia Critic groaned. Your voice is the last thing I want to hear after a serious hangover. The alien warlord grinned at his abductee. It's nice to know that my knockout gas was a stunning success. He placed his hand over his mouth before whispering to himself, and thanks to my psychobiological structure, I was able to wake up first. He turned back to his archenemy. With just enough time to tie up you and your companion, otherwise would have been the quite embarrassing defeat. Eventually, Nostalgia Critic had regained enough strength to move more freely, or at least attempt to. His vision returned, though he was not greeted with a pleasant sight as he found himself taped to a wooden chair with the FanFic Critic in her own chair back-to-back with him. He struggled to break free. Because of the thrashing, it caused FanFic Critic to stir and slowly come to. Damn it, he grunted in aggravation. Don't bother trying to escape. That tape was held together the most crocked and damaged spaceships in the galaxy. It'll take more than just the two of you to break it apart. What do you want from me? Not much. Just for you to sit and watch as everything you and your friends have ever built be destroyed. He leaned in closer to the Nostalgia Critic, who responded by looking away, clearly by how uncomfortable the dreadlocked alien face was so close to his own. Kind of reminds me of how I used to do the super-duper unflattering shots of me reading fanfics, and I'd get up right to the camera. Wasn't that annoying? Don't worry, I'll not do that with this. I only did it that once just for shits and giggles. Yeah. So let's continue. I'll be honest with you, Nostalgia Critic. The biggest reason why I went through this with the plan was I knew it would destroy your career. I messed up reading that. Sorry. He rolled his eyes in annoyance. Thanks, but I've already got the YouTube copyright system to do that for me. This'll do more than just take down a video or two of yours. You won't have any material to work off of. That nostalgic feeling you feel deep in your deepest feelings will be dead and buried. You'll never recover from this, and I'll take great pleasure in watching you slowly crumble and lose your sense of purpose. Beside them, FanFic Critic lethargically lifted her head and turned as far as she could. Couldn't you have just left a spam comment in his video? She said groggily. Whose side are you on? Nostalgia Critic yelped. There was a serpent-like smile on Turl's face. I've done far worse than spam comment you. I've hurt you, and I wish to go on hurting you. I shall leave you as you left me, as you left us, marooned for all eternity in the center of a... Star Trek II, both critics cried. What? You're quoting Star Trek II, FanFic Critic responded. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I just made that up on the spot. It's literally one of the most quoted sci-fi quotes in history. A Native American turned Benedict Cumberbatch man frozen in frozen status for decades beat you to it. A lump formed in Turl's throat, unable to think of a witty response to give the two, so instead he decided to leave. It was only when he wasn't standing so close that the Nostalgia Critic realized that they were seated in a large white room with a single door that Turl walked towards. It doesn't matter. I'll have you two out of the way, and in a matter of minutes, every fanfiction and work in the world will be gone forever. I just realized I was trying to base my voice off of the other character. It was this character Turl was the one I think Spoonie was playing. For some reason, I thought Turl was the one that Nostalgia Critic was playing, or Doug Walker was playing, the one who kind of spoke in the high pitched voice. But oh well, I'm just gonna stick with this voice because I've been doing it for most of the fanfic anyway. So oh well. And don't bother trying to escape. I have a small camera that will fly over sometimes and take a still picture. So get comfortable. You'll be here a while. After those final words, he stepped through the door and locked it behind him. Gritting her teeth, FanFic Critic tried to break free, shaking her body from left to right. However, after struggling for a bit, she couldn't liberate herself. A heavy sigh passed her lips as her head slumped in defeat. It's over. Took you that long to figure it out, huh? Nostalgia Critic responded sarcastically. At least I didn't give up until the end, unlike a certain someone. Hey, I tried, he pointed out. Who was the one who shot at that weird machine? Yeah, look how well that turned out. A part of me thinks that you don't actually want to say fan fiction. I thought it was already established that I just wanted to say my videos. She rolled her eyes. Nice to know your selfishness is still intact. Taking offense to her comment, he shrugged roughly in his chair, causing her chair to be yanked backwards and give her a sharp jolt of pain. The whole reason I got dragged into this mess in the first place was to find you and get more information for my video, which was for my fans. Believe it or not, I can think of other people. I usually think of myself first, but I do still think of others. This time, FanFic Critic retorted by banging her chair, resulting him getting hit in the back. He yelped in pain as she snapped. Then why do you have such a personal vendetta against fanfiction? Because why not make something new? Why not waste your time going over stuff from a movie or a show that's already been made? Instead, why not try to create something new for fans that they didn't think they wanted? Only for them to say how bad you've gotten over the years and demand things be the same until you can't continue your show anymore and have to go back to doing the old. He stopped once he realized how off topic he was getting and hoped that he didn't reveal too much. Forget I said anything. FanFic Critic remained quiet for a brief moment. She waited for another comment to come from her prison mate, but his reserve was noted. Eventually, she spoke up. You're still upset about demo reel. It wasn't a question. She knew it was the truth, and it could be confirmed as she felt him exhale heavily and slump against the back of his chair. Look, he finally spoke. I have moved past that. It didn't work out. So what? I love being the nostalgia critic, and I love making my show. But I like to try something new every once in a while, to spin a new viewpoint or opinion on something. Otherwise, I feel like I'm going into a bit of a slump. She whispered. They both sat in silence. The only sound loud enough to register in their prison room was the sound of their own muffled breathing. Nostalgia Critic found the floor much more interesting to stare at soundlessly, whilst FanFic Critic's mind put the pieces together in her head about what to say next. I know how you feel. I haven't done a video in a while for a number of reasons. Some of them technical issues, some of them personal, and part of me thinks I'm going stale. But you've just made me realize something. He turned his head curiously. What's that? No two fanfictions are the same, to some degree. You mentioned wanting to share a new viewpoint or opinion, so what better was to see that express that in the form of... Oh, wait, hold on, let's reread that. So what better, what to see... Okay, so that's a little clunky, you might want to change that. That expressed then in the form of millions of fans around the world sharing their own works to each other. Giving something that the original creators couldn't do, like your reviews. You can give a different thought about the film that was never brought up, or like my reviews, or even my fan fiction stories. Wait a minute, he interrupted. You've written stories as well? She nodded before a creased frown on her forehead. I thought you did some research on me. I said a little bit. Right, well, I've gotten a couple of Sweeney Todd stories and a Lion King one. She smiled as she dived into fond memories of writing them. Curiosity piqued within the Nostalgia Critic. He tried to turn around as much as he could, a difficult task considering how well they were taped back to back. He had to give Turl some credit. At least the alien could do something competently. What was a Lion King story about? Her eyes narrowed, shocked and caught that he was showing genuine interest in this conversation. About Simba's first child who was killed before Lion King 2 by the Outlanders, and how Simba banished them soon after. I wrote it a while ago, she dismissed, expecting him to throw some kind of snide comment. He pondered the story concept. That actually sounds like an interesting idea. It helps develop the film more and add some depth that film never had before. Yeah, that reminds me. Are you ever going to do a Disney Sember of Lion King 2? Suddenly, the angry side of him was back. How many times am I going to get asked about that? Until you do it, she stifled a giggle and heard him grumble some kind of inaudible response. Once she was sure he'd calmed down again, she resumed her point. It's like you said again, some fan fiction can help develop a story further, or add something that wasn't there to begin with. It's an endless cycle of creativity for creators and fans, he summed up. She nodded, glad that the message was finally sinking in. Listen, I'm sorry about what I said to you earlier. I don't think you're uncreative. You're crude, loud, annoying, selfish. Your ego is off the charts. Can I just mention what an upstanding job you're doing at encouraging me? He cynically replied. She ignored his statement and persisted. You're all those things, but you're not uncreative. For the record, I quite liked Demo Reel. And yes, that is true. I did enjoy Demo Reel. It was a little iffy at first, but, it was starting to get on a good roll, and then, he ended up ending it to bring back the Nostalgia Critic. And to be honest, I am glad that Nostalgia Critic's back, but I do wish that he could have continued Demo Reel too, because it was an interesting concept. And I honestly felt like the fan base for Channel Awesome did not give it enough of a chance. They really didn't. They were like, in my opinion, people were like shitting on it the second he started airing it. Like, it seemed like they already had formed an opinion of it because they were pissed off that he was not doing Nostalgia Critic anymore. So, I highly doubt Doug Walker is watching this. I highly, 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 highly doubt it, especially seeing this isn't even the FanFic Critic YouTube channel. This is my other channel, and I'm never going to use the other channel again. But in case Doug Walker is watching this, I did like Demo Reel, and I do wish that you had continued it. But at this point, it's a little late. So let's get back on topic. Nostalgia Critic's cynical move evaporated after hearing her confession. He waited for her to say something else, but she remained silent, clearly finished with what she was trying to get across to him. Her words sunk in, and at that moment, it felt like a black cloud encompassing his head had drifted away. He cleared his throat loudly. Maybe I was a bit judgmental. A bit? Okay, I was extremely judgmental against fan fiction. I guess I was just so caught up in trying to be a better creator, I forgot that I'm still a fan too. And for the record, if we get out of this and manage to save all fandom, I wouldn't mind reading your stories. The Sweeney Todd ones. The old Sweeney Todd ones. Yeah. Well, you know what? I guess those were kind of okay. It could have been worse, I guess. And I think my problem with my old Sweeney Todd fanfics was after a while, it was kind of the same story after a while, just being retold differently. But then again, my most recent fanfic, Revenge is Best Served with Ale, is kind of a reimagining of my very first fanfic, A New Tale of Sweeney Todd, but at least I'm trying to take a different approach to it. But hey, it is what it is. Enough about that. Let's get back to this. Really? Really? He nodded. The two of them were close to facing each other, at least as close as possible with the awkward position they were currently trapped in. A moment or two passed before Nostalgia Critic shook his head and yelled, "My God, if we were in a fanfiction right now, we'd probably be forced to make out." Good one. Good one. Breaking the fourth wall there. Awesome. Please don't put that mental image in my head, she grumbled. And thank you for not having us be a couple in this. Thank you. I mean, yeah, thank you. Already forgotten. Now, how are we going to get out of here? He asked with burning determination. I thought you had given up. Well, now I've ungiven up. So what do we do now? They both looked around for something that can be used to cut themselves free. However, other than the two of them and the chairs they were seated in, the room was empty. Nostalgia Critic jerked in his seat a bit, causing FanFic Critic to be pulled back harshly. She was about to make a comment when it dawned on her. We can move the chair. What? We can move the chair towards the door. We just have to time our movements correctly. I swing left. You swing right. Got it? Right. He nodded. Suddenly, FanFic Critic swung her chair before he was ready, causing his chair to bang against his back roughly. Ow! No, I mean right as in correct, not the direction right. My bad. Eventually, the two of them worked into rhythm that helped them graze the legs of the chair close to the door, their only exit from this plain hellhole. Left and right. They were making slow progress. Unfortunately, it was too slow. We're not going to make it, FanFic Critic commented. We're going to have to move faster, Nostalgia Critic said. He jerked his seat forward a little too hard with FanFic Critic unprepared. They both caught off balance, and before they could stop, they were falling to the ground and landed with a loud thud. Son of a... I can't move! She kicked the ground, hoping that they could push each other along, but wasn't going to work with their shared weight. Now what do we do? He huffed. I don't know. Nothing short of a divine intervention can help us now. Right on cue, they were both nearly blinded as an incredible ray of light lit the already bright room. Unable to cover their eyes, they looked away from the source until they could feel the heat of it die down. And suddenly, echoing chorus sung throughout the room. Santa Christ, we love Santa Christ. A recognizable bellying laugh caught Nostalgia Critic's attention. He turned around and was happier than ever before to see a familiar bearded man in a white gown and a Christmas hat. Santa Christ? Ho, ho, ho! Hello! He greeted merrily. Then the Nostalgia Critic noticed that someone else was standing beside his occasional friend. Oh my god. Oh my god, did they really do it? I forgot that they did this. Did they really include Lesbian Jesus? Oh, they did! They included Lesbian Jesus. Oh my god. Lesbian Jesus is not actually my character, by the way. She was created by a YouTuber named Aliento. He also reviewed fanfics and stuff. I don't know if he's still around or not, but I'm just going to stress that Lesbian Jesus was not originally my character. So if anyone says that she is definitely not. Be sure to give credit to Aliento. Thank you. Wearing a white gown herself, but with a halo above her head and angel wings across her back. Well, yeah, I didn't really have the best technology and stuff when I did the FanFic Critic, so she didn't have all that stuff. But you can use your imagination. And he was about to salute until something caught his eye about this woman. Why do you look like the FanFic Critic? Hearing this, the female critic shifted herself around so she could see the two saviors, and the feminine one she knew immediately. Lesbian Jesus? Hello, my child, she acknowledged in an overly pleasant and soft voice. I will admit, though, I did love Lesbian Jesus. I did love Lesbian Jesus. I mean, it was so much fun being Lesbian Jesus. I actually was going to have her do a video called the FanFic Critic Porno, but that never happened. But that was a future idea that I had. It was just going to be a funny skit where she does a video where she's pretending to be the FanFic Critic and Susan, where she looks like them, but you could tell it's Lesbian Jesus, and it was going to be a deal that FanFic Critic and Susan were watching the video, and they're, like, freaking out, like, what the fuck? And, like, Lesbian Jesus, like, I'm a goddess, you can't get me. But that never happened, so, oh well. Nostalgia Critic couldn't stop the screech escaping him. Her name is Lesbian Jesus? Ignoring her partner in crime's immature laughter. She looked to Lesbian Jesus in shock. I can't believe you're here. Wait, you and Santa Christ know each other? Of course, Santa Christ said. We occasionally hang out and like to meet up and play some party games every now and then. I always win, Lesbian Jesus commented. The bearded man hesitated before forcing a laugh. Ho, ho, she's a real kidder. No, in the eyes of it all, Santa Christ always wins. Except when he plays me. Irritably, he turned to face her. Okay, you're stepping over the line. Unafraid of Santa Christ's growing annoyance, she continued to poke fun at him. Would you like to tell them about the time we played strip poker with some friends? His eyes bulged open. We said we would never talk about that incident again. Hey! Nostalgia Critic called out, grabbing their attention. As much as we would love to lay here and listen to you two banter, we kind of have a mission to do, and we'd really like your help right now. In fact, it would be really great if you helped a few minutes earlier. Lesbian Jesus held out her arms gracefully. But then you would not have learned your valuable moral lesson of the day. Okay, valuable moral lesson learned. Can you get us out of here or not? He rushed impatiently. Santa Christ stepped forward, holding out his cane. Of course, I am Santa Christ. Suddenly, a sharp blade jutted from the end of his cane, and he swung downwards before either critic could protest. The tape was clearly cut, cutting both of them, the tape was clearly cut, allowing both of them to break free and stand back on their own 2 feet. They ripped the last bits of tape off themselves. Thanks, Santa Christ. Now we have to move before Terrell's camera picks us out. How long we have until it comes by? Lesbian Jesus took a moment to think. It'll be here in about 50 minutes. The urgency of the critics vanished quickly. FanFic Critic scoffed. We have plenty of time to escape and reach Terrell. How has this guy been able to conquer galaxies? Santa Christ interjected. Now, you both must hurry. Terrell has almost destroyed all of fandom. Lesbian Jesus nodded. Yes, it would be a shame if all the fan fiction I haven't read yet was gone. Yeah, I can imagine what type of fan fiction that is, FanFic Critic quietly commented. With a gentle smile, Lesbian Jesus gazed at her. On another subject, my child, if you or Susan ever wish to join me in a game of strip poker. Raising her hand to stop her, FanFic Critic replied, thanks, but we'll pass.
Well, Santa Christ spoke up, we fulfilled our obligated crossover cameo. Farewell!
And as quickly as they appeared, the two holy figures disappeared in a blinding flash of light, with the booming chorus fading into nothingness, and leaving the two critics alone in the room once again. FanFic Critic stood emotionless, while Nostalgia Critic looked at her with a confused expression. So, just to be clear, you don't want me to bring up the fact that someone who looks exactly like you just tried to hit on you and your identical-looking cousin? Never again. Okay, noted. To be concluded. And that's the end of Chapter 2. Alright, so 35 minutes, so we're gonna end the video here, and then we shall continue to review the fanfic in the next and final part. Yeah. But before we do that, let's talk about Lesbian Jesus and her shipping of the FanFic Critic and Susan. I did that to poke fun at the fanfics that were about FanFic Critic and Susan being a couple, I'm not going to lie. And, you know, after rewatching the web show, I can honestly understand why people did ship them, because how I portrayed the characters, it was unintentional, but especially with how Susan was with the FanFic Critic sometimes, and sometimes with how the FanFic Critic was with Susan, yeah, especially after watching episode 140, that had a lot of subtext, yeah. I mean, you know, they were both, I played both of the characters, and they do look exactly alike, and it is kind of weird that people ship them together, but, you know, I'm not gonna lie, after rewatching the show, I kind of shipped it after a while, too. I was never gonna do that, though, because it's like, no, they weren't supposed to feel that way for each other, but that's why Lesbian Jesus pretty much kind of became the symbolism of that, just the parody of that, because I had her blatantly ship them and stuff like that. Like, she obviously had a thing for them. Although I'd say that Lesbian Jesus had more of a thing for Susan than she did for the FanFic Critic. But she liked seeing them together. Yeah, I will say, though, near the end of my show was pretty decent. It still wasn't fantastic by any means, but it was pretty decent and stuff. And frankly, if most of the show had been that quality for the entire run, the web show would have been okay, but most of it was just, not gonna lie, there was some entertaining parts about it, but for the most part, my web show was a lot of waste potential. I shouldn't have started it when I was 19 years old. Bad idea. Bad idea. Don't. If you're going to do a web show, wait until you're a little bit older. Wait until you're at least 25. That probably would have been the most ideal time to start doing a web show. But, you know, I was young, I was stupid, and I'm like, hey, I want to do this. This is fun. Ha! Yeah, if I could do it all again, I would definitely do it a lot differently than how I'm doing it. But hey, I guess you can say this vlog is kind of a second chance. It's kind of what the show should have been. And it doesn't have the characters and stuff. And I'm not going to lie, I am going to miss some of the character stuff because it was fun, but it is what it is. So, that said, I'll see you guys in the next part. This is Ryoko368, and I'll see you all in the next video.